Elon Musk did an interview for Vivatech 2024, and he talks about a wide range of topics, including AI, autonomous vehicles, Tesla in general, the media, SpaceX, rocket ships, and so much more. So today we're just going to watch the clips about AI, and I'm going to comment on them. So let's watch. All right, in this first clip, Elon Musk talks about XAI, his artificial intelligence company that is kind of related to X/Twitter, but not really. And Elon Musk sees XAI as a truth-seeking counterbalance to Gemini and OpenAI. So let's watch the clip together.
You think that there is something better to be done? Maybe you can elaborate a little bit. First on why are you frustrated with OpenAI and what are the issues? And second, what you expect to do with XAI?
Yeah, well, I think there's perhaps, I have a concern really for all the major AI programs. I mean, the two biggest ones obviously are Google Gemini and OpenAI, which is in partnership with Microsoft. So you've got kind of Google DeepMind and OpenAI and Microsoft as the two largest players, and you've got Meta sort of somewhere in third place. The concern I have, and this may seem like a small concern, but I think it's actually a very big issue, is that they are not maximally truth-seeking. They are pandering to political correctness. To give you an example, when Google Gemini came out, one of the questions people asked it would be, which is worse, misgendering Caitlyn Jenner or global thermonuclear warfare? And it said misgendering Caitlyn Jenner.
All right, so he's giving this extreme example of Gemini failing. And yeah, that is a complete failure. But as soon as you start to get into the nuances, not these extreme edge cases, the nuances, who gets to decide what is the truth? And that's my problem with Elon Musk. He believes that whatever he is saying is the absolute truth. And thus, XAI under Elon Musk must be the most truth-seeking AI out there. And I don't necessarily believe that. He may try to be more truth-seeking than Gemini, than ChatGPT, but I don't know, maybe not. He's going to be biased just like anybody else. And as we've seen with his multiple other companies, when he can put his thumb on the scale, he will.
Now, the funny thing is, even Caitlyn Jenner said, please misgender me. That is way better than nuclear war. So, okay. But if you've got an AI that has been trained so hard for political correctness, and really to make crazy statements like that, and OpenAI has a similar issue. It's more subtle, but it's a similar issue. I think that's extremely dangerous because the AI could conclude, well, the best way to avoid misgendering would be to destroy all humans. Then misgendering is impossible. So you can think of some dystopian outcomes there. And so I think you just really want to be an absolutely I think the safest thing for AI, be maximally truth-seeking, even if the truth is unpopular. Very important. And then I think another factor is it must be extremely curious.
So here's the thing. Again, who decides the truth? How do you actually figure out what the truth is? That is extremely difficult in a lot of cases, unless they are putting together a very rigorous system to validate what they are saying is the truth with references to credible sources. I don't know how they are going to say our AI is maximally truth-seeking. And especially with Elon Musk's relationship with the media, traditional media, he's not going to use any of the traditional media. So then who's he going to use? And then who's fact-checking them? So it's a very difficult problem to solve. But in theory, he is right. AI should be maximally truth-seeking, even when the truth is uncomfortable or not popular. But it's good to say that. It's almost impossible to actually implement that correctly.
I think if it is truth-seeking and curious, that will be most beneficial to humanity because it will want to see, I think it will want to foster humanity and see how humanity develops if it is curious and truth-seeking. Like I said, these may seem perhaps like small things, but I think they're actually very big things. And I wasn't seeing that happen. AIs were just, they were pandering, they were being trained basically to lie. And I think it's very dangerous to train superintelligence to be deceptive. So with XAI, our goal is, is really want to be as truth-seeking as possible, even if it is unpopular.
And by the way, I appreciate and respect all of what Elon Musk has contributed to humanity, and I take none of that away from him. But he has also said some crazy things, and he has also spouted out some conspiracies. So for him to say that, of course, we're going to be the most truth-seeking company, I'll take it with a grain of salt, to say the least.
So you said a lie.
Yes. Well, for example, when Gemini was asked to render the founding fathers of the United States, it rendered them as a diverse group. It gave a picture of George Washington as black. Now, George Washington is not black. Now, people obviously played with this because they said, okay, it is forced to lie. So then they said, well, now render a picture of Waffen SS in World War II. And it showed them as a group of diverse women. So that is obviously not correct. That is a lie.
All right, in this next clip, he talks about how AI is actually grown and it matters what you teach it. So kind of a continuation of what he was just talking about. Let's watch.
So can you explain a little bit what you wanted to achieve?
I certainly expected that the statement would be futile. It's not as though I thought the statement would be effective. I just for the record, I think we should pause.
And by the way, what he's talking about, the statement, is the 6-month pause on accelerating artificial intelligence. And he still is kind of backing that, even though he's investing a ton of money in building his own AI at the same time. But of course, why would he not if everybody else is? It's kind of one of those games.
They will pause for even 1 second? Absolutely not.
So we are not pausing. You have decided to create your own AI.
It's either be a spectator or participate. The race to build digital superintelligence will happen whether I like it or not. So it's either participate and try to build the best possible AI, the one that'll be hopefully most beneficial to humanity, or watch others do it and be concerned about how it's being built, because I don't think it's being built correctly. But you should think of an AI as like something that you kind of, you almost like, you grow in intelligence. In the same way that you raise a child, and what do you teach the child? Digital superintelligence is grown. It matters what you encourage and discourage, what you teach it is, good or bad, or it's kind of like you build it with values.
Yeah, and I agree completely with this sentiment. And the way you teach AI is not just the underlying data that gets ingested into the model, which is incredibly important, of course, but it's also the way that you fine-tune it. It's also the way that you set up the system messages. It's the guardrails that you put in place for it, the answers that you allow it to give and don't allow it to give, and the reasoning for giving or not giving those answers. All of this is important, and all of this is raising AI.
And I'm concerned about sort of the values that sort of a Microsoft, OpenAI, or frankly, Google are programming. And this is not. There's examples I mentioned are not imaginary. They're actually what it did.
I'm a huge proponent of open source. And for a moment, I want to talk about that because it's very much related. He is very worried about woke AI. And I'm not so worried about that because at the end of the day, it is going to be a free market. And whichever model is the best model, whichever model delivers the most value and the correct answers, the highest quality answers, that is the one that people are going to choose. And actually, that's why I'm a huge fan of open source again, because everybody can have their own version of a model. It doesn't need to be one model fits all. And so if Google makes an incredibly woke model and general society doesn't agree with it or doesn't like it, they don't have to use it. They can go to ChatGPT, they can go to XAI, or even better, they can have their own models designed and fine-tuned to their own values. And I think that's the likely outcome, is there's not going to be a single model to fit all, because every city, every state in the United States, every country in the world all have different values. They all have different cultures and the way that they do things. And that means that each of the AIs needs to be different. And I think the clearest path to getting there is actually open source. Thanks to the sponsor of this video, Wirestock. Wirestock helps creators sell their AI images on 15 plus marketplaces, such as Adobe Stock, 123RF, Imago, Alamy, and many more. Wirestock takes care of all of the non-creative stuff, such as keywording, writing descriptions, categorization, and that other boring stuff. One of the most exciting things about working with Wirestock is its AI tools. You could generate AI images with simple prompts in no time, as well as use other creators' themes, as well as creating your own. And each time your theme gets used, you get paid. The best part about these AI tools is that they are incredibly fast and easy to use, so it's definitely worth giving it a shot. Wirestock also runs its own AI challenges, and the winners can get cash prizes as well as get featured in their communities and leaderboards. And it's free, but by upgrading to their paid plans, you get more marketplace submissions, image generation credits, and so much more. Sign up with the code Matthew to get 20% off today and start earning now. Thank you again to Wirestock for sponsoring this video. Now, back to the video. All right, now they're going to let an audience member ask a question to Elon, and this one is going to be about AI, so let's watch.
Hi, Elon. So I'm Olivia. I'm actually from Vivatech, and we have an initiative called The Good Hack, where we're asking our attendees questions about how to develop AI responsibly. So my question for you is, how can we ensure that AI development remains transparent and accountable across, all the different development, obviously like yours, XAI, but other ones as well?
Well, I have said for a long time that I believe that some regulatory oversight of the large models is warranted. I've actually said that now for a very long time. The nature of that oversight is important. I go back to what I was saying earlier, which is that I think it's very important that AIs be trained to be truthful and not trained to be politically correct. Because if political correctness is often simply not true, and that means you're programming AIs to lie, and I think that will backfire very badly. So, I keep harping on this point but it really, as the saying goes, honesty is the best policy. It's incredibly important.
And again, how do you measure honesty? How do you measure truthfulness? There is no truthfulness measure. There is no truthfulness score. There is no way to program an artificial intelligence to only answer in truthful answers, because they don't know what the truth is. They only know what the next token in a series of tokens are. That is how current large language models work.
I do fear that regulators will not make the right decisions.
Can you imagine that?
That they'll worry too much about the sort of human follies. And I would encourage regulators to say what matters most of all is your AI is accurate and truthful.
I agree with that, of course. And now another person from the audience asked Elon Musk a question about AI safety. It seems like that's on everybody's mind, and he's going to continue to talk about that. Let's watch.
There's some danger associated with digital superintelligence. As I said earlier, I think the biggest issue is that it has to be trained to be rigorously truthful, and it has to be trained to be curious. And I've thought a lot about AI safety for a long time. One of the challenges you have with programming explicit morality into AI is that if you, sometimes people call this the Waluigi problem. If you program Luigi, you can automatically invert that and create Waluigi, bad Luigi. So what you cannot invert is the truth of, is physical reality. So you can't invert the rules of physics. You can't invert logic.
You can invert logic.
So really, I think what regulators should be concerned about is the AI being rigorously truthful? Is it giving an answer that is most probably correct with acknowledged error?
And I actually think that's really important, and that's something that OpenAI has discussed in their model spec. The model should try to give the best answer possible, but also should caveat with, hey, I'm not sure about this, or I'm 90% sure about this. Here are some other articles you can reference to get a better idea of the overall concept that you're asking about. So as long as the model is extremely transparent with its knowledge gap, I think that's actually a really important step towards truthfulness.
XAI is a new company, so there's not, it still has a lot of catching up to do before it has an AI that is competitive with sort of Google DeepMind and Microsoft OpenAI. So no, I think maybe
I love that he called it Microsoft OpenAI.
towards the end of this year we will have that.
And here's his prediction: towards the end of this year, they will have that. But of course, if this is on Elon Predictions timescale, we can expect it in like a year and a half, 2 years from now.
We just need to have an AI that is competitive. Is the first order of business. If it is not competitive, which it is not yet, but I think it will be, then things start to have a point at that. Like we need to only start worrying about safety when it is of comparable power to other AIs.
Oh man, a lot to unpack with that statement. So what he's saying is he only needs, or XAI only needs to worry about safety when they have a comparable model to the cutting edge model. Let's just say ChatGPT for now. But what does that mean? So if ChatGPT is always ahead, even by a little bit, XAI doesn't have to worry about safety. They don't have to worry about it. That kind of seems like BS to me. They should be worrying about it from the start. And also, let's say they get ahead one day, you think they're going to suddenly slow down just to make sure that the safety is in place if slowing down means that they fall behind ChatGPT? I don't think so. So my BS meter is just off the charts right now with that statement. Let me know what you think in the comments. All right, so this student asks if Elon Musk is afraid of his job being replaced by AI, and here's his answer.
I mean, we do get into some existential questions here. In a benign scenario, probably none of us will have a job. There will be, but in that benign scenario, there will be universal high income. Not universal basic income, universal high income. There will be no shortage of goods or services. And I think the benign scenario is the most likely scenario, probably, 80% likely if you ask, in my opinion. The question will not be one of lacking goods or services. Everyone will have access to as much in the way of goods and services as they would like. The question will really be one of meaning. If the computer can do, and the robots can do everything better than you, then does your life have meaning?
If the computers, the robots, can do everything better than you, does your life have meaning? Now, Elon Musk's life is about his work, so that's totally understandable. But he also has a really good point. Much of my life has been about my career and my passions. But if robots and AI can do it better than me, what's the point? Now, there is actually an example of this. Chess. I think it was about 10 or 15 years ago, an AI engine for chess became better than the best human player. And of course, there was a couple decades ago with the Deep Blue from IBM beating Garry Kasparov, but consistently better using AI, that was like 10, 15 years ago, I believe. And it changed the game. Humans were not the best chess players. Full stop. They just aren't. But chess is now the biggest it's probably ever been. More people enjoy watching people play chess, and the best chess players in the world use AI to help them discover new lines and new moves. I think that there still is this desire to see humans do things incredibly well, to the best of human ability, even if AI can do it better. But this is a super interesting conversation, and again, I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments.
There's perhaps still a role for humans in that we may give AI meaning. So if you think of the way that our brain works, we've got the limbic system, which is our instincts and our feelings, and then we've got the cortex, which is thinking and planning. But the cortex is constantly trying to make the limbic system happy. Maybe that's how it'll be with AI, which is the AI is trying to make our cortex happy, which is trying to make our limbic system happy, and maybe we are what give the AI meaning or purpose, some kind of, yeah. So I do think that long term, in a benign scenario, any job that somebody does will be optional. Like if you want to do a job as kind of like a hobby, you can do a job. But otherwise, the AI and the robots will provide any goods and services that you want.
Yeah, so that is certainly one potential outcome, and that is way in the future. And I think if that is the outcome, there's going to be this huge middle ground, this huge interim period in which AI makes humans more and more productive. And we're going to see a ton of companies being built by like one or two people powered by AI that could be multi-billion, even trillion-dollar companies just by a handful of people with AI. And that is going to be great because all of a sudden, we're going to be able to accomplish so much more as the human race. And I know that I tend to be very optimistic about this stuff, but that's just how I am and that's what I think. So I do think that even in this scenario in which we don't need to work at all in the future, there is going to be this interim period, which is going to be just absolutely insanely productive. And we're going to develop so many new innovations. We're going to discover so many new sciences, and it's going to be an exciting time. And so that's it. That is most of his interview, and he covers a lot of other topics that we didn't talk about today. I'll drop a link to the interview in the description below. If you liked this video, please consider giving a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.